So what I'm gonna do today is try to finish this text-to-speech thing here from the Italian stuff. I got the data, then figure out how to put it in a format that works. Oh, I think I took it out of this file here. Oh, no, it's here. So, and then after that, I was looking at how to make the text-to-speech work, and then I found this library here, and then I just implemented the small explanation they had. I think it was here somewhere in this one. And it worked fine, but I wanna see now how I can make it so that I get a 5-second delay or some time delay so I have time to repeat the word. So I think right now it says, let's see the intro. And apparently in Rust you can run files like scripts unless you download some cargo. Not sure if repository is the right way to say it, but there is a cargo package, let's say, that allows you to run files as scripts, but it doesn't come with the language, and you have to run everything on the main function. And that's why I created another project here inside of this one. Actually, side by side from this other one because I didn't want to run the main of this every time I'm gonna run this because both is gonna make calls to the website, and there are some risks when you're web scraping about being blocked by sites because obviously people can spam and things like that. So it's kind of dangerous, I think, to just do it a bunch of times. Uh, I mean, it wouldn't be dangerous in my situation, but I think it's better to avoid it if possible to make this kinds of calls. And yeah, and also I didn't wanna because the way that I did here, I'm rewriting, I'm appending the information every time I run this, so you would have a bunch of extra lines that I don't want on the CSV file. That's the other thing. And now I'm gonna try to figure out how I should do the delay for the words. Maybe I should run here just to show what it does. Hopefully it's still
1.
working.
Sono. I underscore am.
I think I have
2.
to switch here.
IO. I. 3. Il underscore suo. His.
So there's actually three
4.
things that I have to do.
Che. That.
One thing is cut out the numbers. I just want the words, obviously. And the other is to have a delay so I can repeat the word. And this is a list according to the site of the 1,000 most frequent words in Italian. And I think that's the best way probably to learn in the beginning. I'm just gonna repeat these words enough day by day. Or I'm not sure if I'm gonna do every single day, but probably before I stream, maybe 10 minutes. Just repeat the words. And then I'm gonna understand the basics of the language at least. And then I'm also, as I train typing, I'm doing so in Italian, and then I look it up the some of the words each day, the meaning of them. And then I haven't started watching yet, but I'm gonna watch videos on programming in Italian, so I also understand because it's not just words, I have to understand the connections, the phrases. But I think doing that long enough is probably gonna at least get me to a point where I can understand. I can have a conversation or understand videos and read text, which is enough for me. I don't really care about the grammar, like I said before. The good thing about Italian is that a lot of the words are similar to Portuguese, so it doesn't seem like it's gonna be that difficult to learn. So that's one thing that I wanna do, and the other thing I have to do is to finish this. I went to the nutritionist, and I'm gonna do a diet essentially I told him that my goal is high performance, both mentally and physically, and I wanted a diet that can optimize for that, but I wanted a cheap one to start and then a more expensive one. And then he gave me a bunch of lists of a bunch of different foods and the categories, and then he gave me something that I can kind of follow day by day. But because a lot of the foods that he gave me, I have never eat or seen, have never eaten, I think, or seen in the supermarket. I wanted to test something out where I built this script to randomize the foods and to create this schedule for of the whole week for me. And maybe I should show that. But it's in Portuguese, but there's different categories here, and then I have the portions, and then there's another spreadsheet with all the foods that exist on each one of these categories, and then he left up to me to decide which ones I'm gonna choose, which I think is pretty good. But because I wanna experiment with a lot of foods, or maybe do as many variation as possible, I wanted to try this stuff out. If it's too hard, because the thing for me that I don't like is, or that I've always avoided up until now, is that I don't think it's very smart to spend a bunch of time cooking, because there's diminishing returns for that. It's the same thing with everything. Uh, like, you shouldn't try to do all the jobs possible. You should just focus on becoming the best at what you do, and then outsourcing everything else. And I think that's the best approach. But I'm gonna try it out to see, because a lot of these foods I have never eaten or tried to cook. So if there are foods that are too hard, or I feel like I'm spending too much time cooking, then I'm gonna erase them from the list. But in the beginning, I want to try with randomizing all of them. So I built this script, and then uh, it pretty much shows me all the foods that I can eat uh, the whole week. And the problem with this right now, I did a bunch of variations because it was incorrect, but there's few stuff that I want to add. So today I went to the supermarket with a list of all the foods that he gave me, and I wrote down all the prices for each one and the amount that you get for each price. And one of the problems of the way that he gave me, the way that the way that the information that he gave me is that some of the units are like 3 tablespoons, or kind of things like that, or big sizes, or it doesn't say the amount in grams or kilograms. So based on that, it's impossible to know how much I'm gonna need each week for each thing. And I didn't want to completely randomize everything, because then I'm gonna end up buying too much food in a week, and it's not gonna be good, because the next week is gonna be completely random again, and then I'm gonna have all the extra food, and then a lot of these foods, they will go to waste, because you have to eat them fresh, like fruits and stuff like that. So I didn't want that, but then the way that I did here, I'm getting the same thing every day, which I think is gonna be too repetitive. And the way that I did is actually the first time that I used something that I learned from doing the lead code challenges, which is the cache thing. And I thought about that, and then applied the cache to make it this way. And then now I'm gonna try to implement. I think it's pretty easy actually. I'm gonna make the cache dependent on a variable, and then I can determine the frequency of the randomization. So if I put the number equal to 2, then there's gonna be 2 types of variation for each kind of each kind of category. And I can arbitrarily choose how random I want, or how many variations I want, up to 7, which is the number of days of the week. So I think that's gonna be really good. And then the other thing that I want to do is incorporate the price in this spreadsheet as well, and the portions. But the portions, what I think I'm gonna do is each week I'm gonna do the list of these foods, and then I'm gonna go to the supermarket, and I'm gonna buy these foods, and I used to measure the food that I eat, which is a flexible diet kind of thing. If it fits your macros. I did that diet for a long time back in the day, and I used to weigh everything that I ate, and I still have the balance that I used. I don't know if the name is balance, but I think you weight food on. I still have it, and then now what I'm gonna do is take all these foods, and then I'm gonna get the portions that he recommended, and I'm gonna weight them, and then I'm gonna translate the portions into grams, so I can make calculations. And that way, I'm gonna know uh, the price that I'm gonna spend each week and everything that I have to do just by doing the script once a week. And that's the reason why I'm doing this. Yeah, so I think here what I'm gonna put is the price, and maybe oh, these are the daily portions that are recommended each time of the day. And I don't think I'm gonna put the portions from here, which are the portions that are recommended by category, because of the thing that I just talked about. I have to translate these units into grams. And the only way I'm gonna be able to do that is once I got all these foods. And there's also a lot of foods that I couldn't find at the supermarket that I just haven't eaten, and I don't know. I should have looked it up before, but yeah, some of them probably don't have. The supermarket doesn't have them, so as well. I think with time I can erase some of these foods and replace the units. And then I created this function here. So maybe I'll work on this function as well, which is the function to get the price. Now that I have the prices of each thing. But now that I think about it, this should be on another script because I'm only gonna be able to get the price once I have the final data frame, which I'm creating here for the week. Or maybe actually I can do them on the same because I'm calling this after I create the thing. Yeah, so I'm gonna add a price. So here I manually added all this stuff, and these ones as well I manually wrote everything. And I didn't want to do this on Rust because I thought it was gonna take way too long, and I want to start the other project as fast as possible. Just wanna get over these ones so I can go back to the chain data. So where should I put this? The price. And these are the portions for the whole week. So there's a bunch of zeros here because you can't create the data frame unless they're all the same length. So, and I couldn't put strings because it was giving me a light warning, but it makes sense that because this array is made of numbers, so if you want to put this string there, it's probably going to make things inefficient. Although I still think it runs on Python, but it's probably not the best approach. I'm gonna put some music here. Put music for myself, but I'm gonna mute on the stream. I think I'm gonna put after daily portions. I think it makes more sense. So daily portions are the portions that's from the other thing. Oh, and he also recommended a bunch of supplements that I'm gonna take as well. I'm gonna take whey protein, then some other stuff there that I haven't never seen, but It's probably good. No drugs or anything like that, just supplements. I think the drugs I don't really I think is dangerous. There's a certain balance where it starts to become um, a vicious thing where it's gonna make it worse and worse, kind of like Ritalin or things like that, and then it's not good. So I made sure that I said to him only supplements, no drugs or anything like that. Yeah, but the daily portions are these ones here. Yeah, but that's the problem I think, is because I can only get the price if I know the servings. Because I have the price for the market, how much it costs. Let's say there's 500 grams, it costs $7 of one of these. But then in reality, I'm only gonna eat a certain portion. Maybe I eat 200 grams for a week. So the price wouldn't be the full price, would be 200 instead of 500. If that makes sense. And I can only have the conversion if I know what daily portion is for each one. That's the problem. I think I'm gonna leave this one after I'm done with the other one. But I'm gonna do the cash here first, and then I'll move on to the other one. I think what I'm gonna do is put prices on the cash as well, and then put a price after daily portions, and then make the price equal to the thing. Here I check to see if it is on the cache or not, the food. If the cache exists, which means that the food was selected, then I append that to the final thing. And if it is not, then I append the food from this random range here from the data frame of the category. I make the cache equal to the food. So the next time it doesn't repeat. And then if I was gonna do the price, I think I'll have to do the same as this one. Yeah, I'll do cash price, and then instead of getting the food category, I will go for the price. It's not that hard. But then the idea that I had here, I think I'm gonna make a variable called random frequency or freq random. And then I need a number here. Yeah, that's the problem. How I'm gonna increase, because it can only be sometimes. So the idea that I had before was to I'm gonna put the cache, I'm gonna copy the cache here. So it's gonna erase it after one iteration. But I only wanna erase it a certain amount of times. And then I was thinking about using a flag variable, so the flag variable determines the amount of times. Trying to think how I'm gonna do this. Oh, I think I know what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I create a flag variable and then I make count equals to 0 somewhere here. I'm also gonna need to I'm gonna make here count equals 0. I think I can use the same one. Then I just copy this thing here. Because by default I can pass 0 here, I think. Oh, actually, no. I'm gonna pass true because that's what I'm gonna test first. I think I'm gonna randomize by true and then I'm gonna test it out for a few weeks and see what I think. I think it's gonna be really hard in the beginning because uh, I'm it's just like everything. You spend a lot more energy to get used to new habits and figuring out how to make all the foods and which ones you get it and how much I'm gonna spend and then the units and everything like that. It's gonna be really difficult. I'm gonna start Monday this thing once I have this figured out because I wanna know exactly the amounts. Not exactly, but have a very good idea of the amount of each food that I'm gonna need for the week so I have all the meals. I make sure I have stuff for all the meals. And this is gonna fail because maybe if I do the other way around and then I make bigger. I don't know, it has to be like this. But then that's the problem. This should come later. So I'm trying to think which way is gonna work here. Maybe I should create 2 different variables. It's not a big deal, I think. And after I'm done with this stuff, I'm gonna play poker. So hey Vivex, what's up, man? Cool. What's what website? What is that about? I think this is gonna work because if I don't pass anything, it's gonna be 0, so it's not gonna pass the condition, and then it's not gonna activate this. But if it's any other number, then it's gonna only activate when the count reaches the number. So I think this works. I'm gonna run this and see if it works, and then I move on to the other text to switch stuff, and then come back to this. Oh, I have to close this because then it doesn't have permission. The personal site, there's not much on there yet. Cool, man, is a portfolio. Can you say where it's hosted or not? Or you're making with view, I think. I have to change my portfolio as well after some projects. And Cloudflare, I don't know how that works. It's cool that you have a domain as well, man. It looks more professional. I would remove the numbers if you can, but maybe you can't. So I think it's fine as well. Not that big of a deal. Yeah, I have to choose free hosting because I don't have the money to host on the. I'm not sure if Cloudflare is paid or not. Oh, was already taken. Yeah. Have you tried different extensions though? Yeah, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. But usually they have different like IO or some other extension instead of the .com. Oh, it's free. Nice. Ah, interesting. And what you're gonna put here? Do you have any ideas already? Do you know if they can roast Django websites? I'm hosting the chain data on Heroku, but they're gonna start charging for the Postgres database. So I'm searching for another host that is free. But I'm not sure. It doesn't make a lot of difference because I'm gonna need a bunch of data as well, so it doesn't really matter that much. But it would be nice to have the link so people can see it, at least the basic stuff. Uh, only thing, th- the ones I would have like were like 3 times more expensive. I have something called functions, but I don't know if that is Django. Oh, it's kind of like Versa with the serverless functions. If it is, then it probably doesn't work for Django, I think. But here, at least it seems that it can be possible. But the thing is that deploying stuff is also a pain in the ass. But at least you only have to do it once and then it's fine. But I'm not sure if it's probably gonna take me some time. I think I'm gonna work on the stuff first on the local host. So, but maybe not. I don't know. Let's see. I'll keep in mind though. I'm gonna save on this. Save on the on here as well. So when it comes time to do that. Man, Scrimba has a great course on doing portfolio, and I think it's free. You should do that. It helped me a lot. I built mine based on that, and then I changed a bunch of stuff. So maybe you do a very different design, but I think for starting out is really good. It's scrimba.com. And I'm pretty sure it's free. Yeah, serverless is the same thing as Verso. It doesn't work for serverless functions. I think it's kind of like a backend, but not really because you can't have databases. I think that's the difference. So it's just it works like functions, but it's not a server. So that's why serverless functions. But obviously, I don't really know the details very well. But I think you can't host anything with a database on serverless. But it looks like they have something for Django, so I'm gonna look it up later. And for something like a portfolio or any website, Next.js website or React, I think is really good. Oh, you can start date, date or data. I don't think you can use it as a database. I'm pretty sure. Or maybe you can, but it has a limit. That's the other thing. On my site, I'm getting a problem because you can only transfer a certain amount of bytes or bits with serverless functions, and then if you transfer more, it fucks it up. So if the site stays inactive, then you get a page, and then you have to do some things to make it work. And I think you can use Node.js channels to do that. Yeah, so I get this warning here. So as far as I understand now, the Node.js channels is like you can use a buffer and then you decrease the size of information that is passed, It's kind of like you're chunking the information that you get, and then I think you can use that when you're building with the Next.js or anything probably that uses serverless functions, and then you decrease the amount of information that goes, and then it works. But you have to be careful of that, and it's a little bit annoying. So I get this stuff, but then if I click again, it's gonna work because I think I think this happens when it's inactive for a very long period of time, but I'm not really sure. Yeah. I also have to fix the CSS of this thing, but yeah, don't really care about this bullshit. Oh, they do have a database solution. Nice. I'm gonna look it up later, definitely. Maybe I'm also thinking about whether or not I think I'm gonna drop the because I don't really see a point in doing, at least not for now. The I did it more for the nights and weekends stuff, but the whole authentication stuff. And also the only reason I chose Django is because I wanted to get some practice in and do a project in Django. But I'm thinking about changing the backend for something else. Maybe it's better. But the difficult thing is that there's so many technologies and it's difficult to decide which one to use because then you have to think about the whole design and how things are going to scale and it gets really complicated. It's very difficult to choose which one. But maybe if I choose another one, it's going to be a lot easier because then it's probably easier to pass stuff. But then the problem is the authentication. Yeah, I'm going to have to study that a lot, I think. Nice. Oh, I think this is the same actually. The same from Hiroko, the same size. And the thing is, the problem with the site, the chain data thing, is that the whole Ethereum blockchain, I think it is 500 gigabytes or something around that or more. So it gets really expensive, I think. It is from the prices in Hiroko, I was seeing, but maybe here is a lot cheaper. Oh, $7, 7.5. I think Hiroko is 200 or more. But there is also tricky things about this because I think some of them they change the way that it's gonna be served and the amounts, the way that it is stored in the computer and it gets fast or slow. There's some tricky things I think you have to be careful with because they do these things obviously to make the price look cheaper, but in reality, it just worse. The service is worse. Yeah, but I'll look at this later, another time. Thanks for the recommendation though. Yeah. Maybe I have an idea. I think it's gonna be better. I think I'm gonna redo this thing here. But then the problem is because I'm getting from the data from the thing. Maybe we can do something to change to take out the numbers. So I can either take out the numbers before or after these numbers here, the frequency number, or I can figure out a way to just get the. Because in Python it's super easy to get the series. You just put the name of the column along with the data frame using pandas. Looks like in Rust is a lot harder to do it. Because you probably have to implement you can't use the library, you have to implement you have to rebuild the library, let's say. Rebuild pandas should make it work. And the issue with trying to remove them from this script is that I'm getting from the site and it's reading row by row, and then it's gonna become a lot harder because I'm gonna have to keep track of the. But maybe it's easy actually if I change the number of counts here. But actually not because they're all gonna be strings. I can't make a condition based on numbers. So and then I can time the frequency that I'm getting because I know that it's gonna be there's 3 rows, so I can dismiss the first one by making a condition that uses a flag for the amount of times and then only push on that amount. Maybe that's easier, but I still think it is probably easier to remove the to figure out how to use the columns on the text to speech stuff. Oh, I also didn't add the result here. You should put the result and then you should make a question mark whenever you're making calls, because then automatically throws an error and then return the OK at the end. But I don't think I'm gonna do that. I don't think I wanna. Maybe as a last resort, I'll go back to this and try to change it, but I don't because if I change something here, then there's a chance that I'm gonna spend a bunch of time trying to figure out. I don't wanna do that. I just wanna try to finish this as fast as possible. Maybe I'll leave the numbers and then I'll just do the time thing. It's probably easier. I want to finish this today so I can start the other stuff tomorrow. Go back to the chain data as fast as possible because it's taking me way too long to do these things. Also, maybe not really because I spent a lot of time studying assembly and the computer stuff, the hardware stuff. So I think it's worth it. But yeah, but I think it's probably a good time to go back to the to chain data. It looks like there's a library for this. I think I've seen this being used before. This is the game. Maybe I'll train some Vim as well after. The thing is, I have to play poker as well, so it's already kind of late. No, I'm thinking about getting the other function that I did should choose to see what type something is in here to check if the field is a number, so that it doesn't have this leap on the number, only on the words. I think I'm gonna do that. First, I'm gonna check if there's an easier way. This is the one that I was seeing. Yeah, I didn't like this because it's too complicated. It is, I think it's easy to do, but it's too much. Because then I'm gonna have to put the match. Maybe it is better actually. Yeah, I think it's better actually. I can match field and then do the string case. I wonder if I can do that. Or put sum and then string. Oh, here I made it if it's different than this because this was breaking the stuff. I'm gonna comment this and then try to do the match. I think it's gonna be better. Okay, so it's correct. Oh, actually, let me see that again. Yeah, I think I can do this. I think I'm just gonna print something here. But the thing is, I'm not sure if it's gonna be a number or a string. I think it's probably gonna be a string of a number and not the number. And then if that's the case, I can't use match. And I'm gonna try anyway and see what happens. And maybe I have to do this in outside of the function as well. Hmm. I understand what he did here, but I don't think I'm gonna do this. Because then I'm gonna have to... maybe I can put the default case. But here he's making either equal to int or float. Maybe I can make equal to the string slice. But it's gonna be a string slice anyway. Or maybe in the else statement, I could just return s. Maybe that's gonna give a lot of mistakes. Or maybe this is a better way to do it than this way that I'm doing here. But it feels like I'm doing a lot more work for the same thing. So it's probably more intelligent to use the if statement. Because I think I can create this function here and then use the else if and then pass this statement inside of this function. Maybe I should try that. Whatever. Because then I handle the number and I'm gonna try that. I don't lose anything by trying. As this, if this works, then I could just do this deep statement there. I'm gonna try like this and see what happens. And probably I should do this in outside of here. I press Y, then delete. And this is fine, I think. Yeah, but maybe I can't return the string here because I'm using option. Or maybe I can do some and then the s. And it's probably gonna work. But I don't understand where the I comes from. It comes from integer or integer and float. Oh, I think is the type from Rust. So if it is an integer, it's gonna return the sum integer. If it is a float, returns the float, and anything else returns the sum of the some type of the string. Then here I'll pass parse string into the thing. I had some problems on the other one when passing stuff like this because of the lifetime. The lifetime in Rust is something about uh, Rust makes sure that the variables that you're using have lifetimes that are congruent with the flow of the program. So, the reason why is that if you use a variable inside of a scope and then you're using the same variable in another scope and the lifetimes are different, then it can cause errors in the future as far as I understand now. Oh, I forgot this string here. Here, parse. I don't think I need the float, but I'm gonna leave it there. we go. Oh, but now that's the thing because well, it's probably gonna work because I'm returning the thing. Oh, also I'm gonna do like this because I'm gonna put the sleep later. Oh, actually, I don't think. Yeah. Let me see if it works. Hmm. Yeah. And if I do it like this, it's not gonna work because I'm returning option value. That's the problem. Yeah. Or maybe not. I expected it now. Or maybe you can put the value on the string on the. Yeah, it's probably the best. Oh, it comes from this. Now I get it. Maybe I remove this from here. Ah, but then that's the problem. Because if I remove, I'm not gonna be matching with anything. I need to return the remainder now.
There are a lot of ways to build a clock circuit for a computer.
Welcome back to Let's Get Rusty. My name is Logan, and this channel is all about the Rust programming language. If that sounds interesting to you, make sure to subscribe, because every time you subscribe, we convert a Go developer. Last time we went over chapter 5, in which we talked about grouping related data using structs. If you haven't already, make sure to check that video out. As I mentioned before, structs and enums are the building blocks for creating new types in Rust. So in this video, we're going over chapter 6, which will cover enums. Many languages implement enums, but the features vary. In Rust, enums are extremely powerful, and they're most similar to enums implemented in functional programming languages. We'll also talk about a very specific enum called the option enum and go through pattern matching. So with that, let's get started. Enums allow us to enumerate a list of variants. So when is it appropriate to use enums over structs? Let's take the example of IP addresses. We can enumerate all the variants. There's only two, version 4 and version 6, and an IP address can only be one of those variants. Given these properties, if we wanted to express IP addresses in code, using enums would make sense. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll start by using the enum keyword, followed by the name of our enum. In this case, it's IP address kind, curly brackets, and then we list our variants. In this case, version 4 and version 6. Now in main, we can create instances for each of our variants. Variants are namespaced under their identifier. So in this case, we use : to specify each of our variants. Our two variables 4 and 6 are both variants of the IP address kind type. This means we could, for example, define a function. Our function in this case is called route that takes in our enum type, and we can pass it either 4 or 6 because they're the same type. Our enum is able to capture the version of our IP address, but let's say we also wanted to capture the actual IP address. So to do that, we might take what we learned in the last chapter and create a struct. We'll define our struct right underneath the enum, and we'll call it IP address. The first field is going to be called kind, and the type will be our IP address kind enum. And then the second field will be our actual IP address. In main, we'll create a new variable for our localhost IP address. The IP address struct allows us to group the version of the IP address with the actual IP address, but we can make this code even more concise by putting data directly inside the enum variant. To store data inside our variants, we'll add parentheses after the variant and specify what type of data we'd like to store. In this case, a string for our IP address. Scrolling back down to main, let's redefine our localhost variable. Note that enum variants can store different types of data. For example, let's say for our version 4 variant, instead of storing a string, we want to store 4 8-bit integers. As you can see, this is
Maybe I'll do word here and then string. String. Let's try this. Yeah, this is the lifetime stuff. This is really complicated for me. That's don't have experience. Or maybe... Yeah, that doesn't make sense here. Okay, yeah, okay. I don't think this is gonna work as well. I don't understand this mistake here in the bottom.
Easily done. And now our localhost variable is complaining because we pass it a string instead of 4 integers. So let's fix that. Enum variants can store a wide variety of types. As an example, let's introduce the message enum. Here we have 4 variants. The first variant stores no data. The second variant stores an anonymous struct. The third variant stores a single string. And the fourth variant stores 3 integers. Note that we could define each of these variants as a separate struct, like so. However, these structs are all of different type. The benefit of an enum is that all of these variants are grouped under the message type. Just like structs, we could define methods and associated functions on our enum type. And just like before, to do this, we'll define an implementation block. All right, now let's talk about the option enum. Many languages have null values, and null values represent a useful concept. A value could either exist, or it could be null, meaning that there is no value. But the problem with null values is that the type system can't guarantee that if you use a value, it's not null. But in Rust, there are no null values. I know, mind blown. But instead, we have the option enum. The option enum looks like this, and it has only two variants. Some, which stores some value, here it's a generic, so it could be any value, or none, which stores no value. So if you have a value that could potentially be null or not exist, then you would wrap it in the option enum. As we'll see in a bit, this allows the type system to enforce that we handle the none case when a value doesn't exist, and guarantee that in the some case, our value is present. Optional values are so useful that the option enum and its variants are included in our program scope by default. Here are some examples of optional values. We have an optional integer, an optional string slice, and another optional integer, which is set to none. For the first two variables, we didn't have to annotate the type, and that's because Rust can infer the type from the values being passed in. So the first value is an integer here, and the second is a string. But for the none case, no value is being passed in, so we do have to annotate the type. Now let's look at another example. Here we have two variables, x and y. X is an integer, and y is an optional integer. So it could either be an integer, or it could be nothing. Let's see what happens if we try to add these two values together. And we get a compile time error. If we hover over the red squigglies, you can see the error is you cannot add an optional type to an integer type, which makes sense, they're different types. In order to make our code work, we need to extract our integer out of the sum variant. In general, to extract values out of the sum variant, we would write code that handles all possible variants. So for example, if the variant is none, we run this set of code, and if the variant is sum, we can safely use the value and run this set of code. The option enum also has some very useful methods. For example, let's say in this case, if y has a value, we'd like to use it, but if it doesn't have a value, we'd like to use a default value. To do that, we can call the unwrap or method on our y variable. In this case, our default value is 0. Now, because y is defined as 5 and x is 5, sum will be 10. However, we could change y to a none value, and our code still runs. And that's because instead of adding 5, we'll now add the default value 0, and sum will be 5. Now let's talk about the match expression. If you remember from previous chapters, match allows you to compare a value against a set of patterns. These patterns could be literals, variables, wildcards, and many other types, which we'll cover in chapter 18. Having expressive patterns makes the match statement powerful, along with the fact that the match expression is exhaustive, meaning that we have to match all possible cases. This makes the match expression very useful for enums. For example, in this case, we have a coin enum, which enumerates various coin types, the penny, nickel, dime, and quarter. And then we have a function called value in cents, which takes in a coin and then runs a match expression. Then for every type of coin, we simply return its value. Here, the code for each arm is short, so we don't have to use curly brackets. However, if our code was longer, we would. For example, we could change penny to print out lucky penny before returning 1. These patterns can also bind to values. To show this in action, let's create another enum, which will represent the state minted on each quarter. We'll call our enum US state and derive the debug trait, which will make it easy to print. Then we'll modify our quarter variant to store the US state. Next, we'll change the last arm in our match expression. Here we're matching on the quarter variant, and now we have this state variable, which will bind to the US state stored inside of quarter, and then we simply just print out the state and return 25. Let's scroll back up to main and actually call our function. Here we're passing in a quarter that contains the US state of Alaska. We'll type in cargo run, and as you can see, Alaska is printed out. Now let's combine the match expression with our option enum. To do that, we'll create a function that takes in an optional integer and adds 1 to it. We'll call our function +1, and it'll take in an argument called x, which will be an optional integer, and we'll also return an optional integer. Inside the body of our function, let's use the match expression to match all variants of x. The first variant is none, and in this case, we want to just return none. The second variant is sum, and we specify the variable I, which will bind to our integer. In this case, we want to return our integer +1. Notice that we can't just return I +1, we have to wrap it in sum, and that's because our return value is an optional. Next, let's see how our function could be used in main. Our first variable is 5, which is the integer 5 wrapped in sum. Then we pass 5 into our +1 function. In our +1 function, x is now our optional, and when we match x, we go down each arm in order. The first arm is none, which doesn't match, so we go to the second arm, which is sum. Sum matches, and now I becomes 5. Then we return 5 +1 wrapped in sum. Our second call to +1 is with the value none. So again, we go into our function, x will be none, we'll match on x, and this time we match the first arm, which is none, and then we just return none. Now, as I mentioned before, match expressions are exhaustive, meaning that we have to match all possible values. So if we remove the first arm, you can see we get an error. The error states that we're missing an arm, and it even specifies that we're not matching on the none variant. In this case, we only have 2 possible values, sum and none. But imagine a case in which we have many different types of values. In that circumstance, we can use the underscore placeholder, like so. This code is saying match X, and if X matches sum, execute this code. Otherwise, if it's any other pattern, execute this code. The last thing we're going to talk about is the if-let syntax. So let's have a look at this example program. We have a variable called sumValue, which is equal to 3, and then we match on sumValue. If sumValue is exactly 3, then we print 3. Otherwise, we do nothing. In this case, we only care about one variant, sum containing.
I think I have an idea. I'm just gonna put as the default case when I try to put it. I can use none as well. Let's try it. Because I still have the field value, so it doesn't matter. Oops. I didn't erase this. Okay, nice. Hopefully it works. But the problem is I didn't take care of the... I guess I can put the if statement inside of the none here. That works as well.
Sono. I underscore am.
Yeah, so this is what I'm gonna do. I would spend more time in this, but it's like I said many times. I just wanna make this happen so I can work on the other stuff. Just wanna make it happen as fast as possible. It just has to work good enough so I can practice every day. It doesn't need to be. And then I'm probably gonna spend a lot of time facing a bunch of these challenges on the other projects. So I'm gonna learn Rust anyway by doing the other one. But then at least when I'm doing the other one, I'm doing the main thing. So
Sono. I underscore am. I-O. I. Il underscore suo. His. Che. That. Louis. He. Era.
nice. Okay. I'm gonna use seconds. Hopefully this stuff works. Just gonna copy this. But I don't think it's gonna work the way I'm thinking it's gonna work because of this. Oh no, I don't need the time now. Okay. I can just do it. Oh, I forgot that. Need to copy like this.
Sono.
Sono.
I underscore am.
I am. Unfortunately,
IO.
yeah, nice. Unfortunately, I can't remove the underscore, I think. Because if I remove the underscore, it fucks it up the CSV. But maybe I should create another one without the underscore and see, because I don't think it's gonna change the way that because it just messes up. Yeah, but it is gonna change because it's gonna mess up the columns. So I don't think I'm gonna bother with that, but if I wanted to do that, then I can probably remove the underscore and then use another reader here instead of the CSV reader. And then in that way, he's gonna read the file anyway, word by word, and it doesn't matter the amount of commas. But I don't think I'm gonna do that because it's too much time. So I'm satisfied with this, I think.
Sono.
Sono.
I underscore am. IO.
IO.
I.
Yo, this
Il underscore suo.
yo suo.
His. Che.
Che. Oh, the other thing that I just thought about is that I should probably put Italian here. That's the reason why it's not saying correctly. Wonder if I can put two languages. And this is gonna fail, I think, because there's two values here. Yeah. It's probably because it's caps lock.
Sono.
Sono.
I-am. Io.
Io. I think this is fine.
I. Il trattino basso suo. HIS. Che.
Okay.
Det. Lui.
Louis.
È. Era.
Era. I'm gonna put 2 seconds here.
Sono.
Sono.
I-am.
Trattino basso. I don't know if he
Io.
says that. Io.
I. Il trattino basso suo.
Trattino basso suo.
HIS.
HIS.
che,
Che.
that, lui,
Lui.
è, era,
Era.
è, she-was, per, for,
It can't be that it is saying the translation because it's supposed to be the other one. But maybe it's a different kind of translation. Because it's giving me weird words when it says the thing in English. Or maybe it's because of the underscore. Hmm. I'm gonna leave it like this, and I'm gonna go back to the other project. I think I'm satisfied with this for now. Maybe I'll improve it in the future, but doesn't really matter that much. Because this is good enough, I think. And this one, I don't think I tested this thing. It's true. Oh, I think let me run like this again. Okay, there is some variation. There's more than true, I think. Some of them. Oh, I guess it's because it's random, so some of them repeat it, but by chance. No, it's because yeah, it's correct. I forgot to put the volume down. Oh, it's too late. It's not doing what I wanted to do. I don't think the order matters that much because I'm still gonna get the same amount. The point of this is just to change the frequency, but it's still random anyway, so it doesn't matter which one comes first or if there's more repetition in the beginning or less. Because then once I buy the food, then I can just rearrange each thing depending on the day, depending on how I feel like it. So maybe this is correct actually. Just trying to think about the sequence. So the count starts at 0, then Just gonna jump. In the beginning it's gonna stay the same, and then it's gonna change. Oh, that's the problem. That's what I'm doing differently. Is that I'm changing based on 7 minus the number instead of changing based on the frequency of random. So once it reaches the count, then it starts changing every time. That's not what I want. I only want to change it if the frequency exists and for the amount of the frequency. I think the easiest way is just to put 2 variables. That's easier. But how do I keep track? That's the question. Of how many times? I guess I can make the count here. Counts plus equals 1. Or maybe I should do after. There we go. I think now it's gonna work. So if I pass the number, it's gonna go through this, and then once the amount reaches the count, it's gonna stop going. It's gonna stop resetting. I think it worked. Because it's changing 3 times and then stops changing. But it's still changing twice. That's the thing. So maybe I have to increase the count before. Yeah. So it is correct. Yeah, now it works. Okay, nice. Yeah, so now I think the only thing I'm gonna do is put the price here and then get the total price on the other function. The price for each item. But then, like I said before in the beginning, it's gonna take some time until I write everything down in the correct portions, so that I know the exact price and not the generic price. But I think I'm gonna do that for now. So I'm gonna, after the daily portions. Oh, I actually don't need the filler for the price. It's just gonna be here. I need to put it on the cache. I think I'm gonna do it the same way, so it's easier. My problem is that I have to do the... Starts getting a little confusing because of the amount of stuff that I have here. But I think that's probably the easiest way. Maybe I don't need actually, sure. Let's think about the default case. The default, I'm gonna append the price based on the pick, and then I make cache price is equal to this. Yeah, so I don't think I need to do the condition for the price here in the caching, because this already prevents me from putting more values there, and I'm already gonna get the correct one. And then I can just do this here and do the price. Oh, but yeah, I'm gonna need one price for each one. That's the problem. But I think that's the easiest way to do it, so I'm gonna do it like that. It's probably an easier way, but I don't care, to be honest. The only annoying thing is that it is really confusing to do this. I have to be careful to not mess it up. Oh, this is correct. Because this is the full moon. Well, actually, I should probably... Well, I kind of have to do all of them. I was gonna say that it's probably better to test before I do all, because if it's wrong, then I have to redo everything. But then, if I don't do everything, it's gonna be different names, the list, so it's not gonna allow me to create a system. Everything is correct. This one.
Told you I've never fallen like the way I'm now. Kinda hope
What is this?
I'm always calmer when you're
And hopefully it's correct. Oh, there's some that don't have price, I think. Oh, I changed the name. Have price. Yes. This one. Oh, I don't really have the candies there. Doesn't matter. Oh, these are the supplements, by the way. They're gonna be... I'm not gonna buy them separately. I already bought. They come in a formula from the store. So. Oh, now I'm gonna have to change everything. It was actually just this one. The other ones I think is fine. Hopefully it's gonna work now. Oh. Oh, I'm appending to the day. That's the problem. But that's an issue because it's gonna be 7 times longer. I didn't think about that. Because I have 7 days and then I'm only gonna have I'm gonna have a lot more. Let me think. Actually, I think I'm gonna scratch everything that I did here. Oh, I have an idea actually. Because instead of I was gonna say that I can put on another list and then multiply by the portions here, but it doesn't work as well because maybe I can use filler the same way that I did here, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna work. Especially if I change the frequency, because then you can change a lot the total price depending on how many items I have here, how many different items. So I don't think it makes sense actually to put the total price there. And that's probably why I was doing this other function here, get prices, because then I can just get the price, just print the amount. But maybe it's better to separate this into another script actually, because then I can have I can just use this data frame, and then it's gonna be a lot easier because I can just create a dictionary and do the caching the same way that I did there, and then I get all the unique values of the whole data frame. And then with those unique values I can search on the other data frames for the price. And then I can make another spreadsheet with I can make another spreadsheet and then have the price, and then if I want I can append or merge the two spreadsheets, so at the end the price is on the side here or anywhere in there I want to put it. But I think I'm gonna leave this for later actually. There was one thing that I was curious about the price, but I think I only the thing about the price is that I'm only gonna be able to do what I want to do after I know the exact amount of the portions, because what I want to do is figure out the exact price that I'm gonna spend for the entire week, and the only way to do that is if I know the correct amount for each one. Because otherwise, even if I get the price, I'm getting the market price and not exactly the portion price, so it's gonna be inflated. Because obviously I'm not gonna consume everything that I buy on one sitting, on one serving or portion. So I think I'm gonna redo everything that I did here. I could leave like this, and just remove there from the other dictionary, but yeah, it's better to just remove everything. And the thing is, I wanted to be done with this today, so I can focus on the other stuff, but I don't think I can. With the data I have now, it doesn't work. So I'll definitely come back to this after I have the more information, after I go through a bunch of different weeks, and I have information on the amount of servings done. Then I'll come back to this and finish this stuff. Hopefully I didn't mess it up the other stuff. Yeah, let's run, see what happens. Oh, yeah. I don't understand why the other one was so much bigger. Maybe I messed something up. No, but I think it's working actually. Yeah, I think it's working. So I'm gonna leave like this, and then in the future I will go back to this. Yeah, so the way that it works here, I'm just gonna explain it before I stop the stream. I created all these data frames manually, and then I get all the data frames here, then I created this function. And all these data frames contain the food, the portion, the price per the portion in the supermarket in grams or kilograms, in grams actually. And then the price in the Brazilian currency, which is reais. And then later I'm gonna convert the portion to grams instead of these units here. So I got all of them here. Then I have the days of the week on this array. Then this dictionary I'm converting to the CSV at the end. So it has the total amount of portions, which is all of these portions added up on the 7 days. The categories for each day I separated by day. I translated the data frame from with the diet, all the categories here, so that it is aligned with the food that gets randomized at the end. Then I have the days of the week here, the count. Then I make the filler for the portion because the portion, this one is smaller than the other ones, so it wouldn't let me convert to CSV. Then I have the cache, and then I loop through the days of the week and the categories, the daily categories. So each day I'm gonna run this, which is gonna select for this foods here, which is aligned with the routine that he passed to me. And then for each one, depending on the category that it is, I'm gonna select from the data frames here, and then I'm gonna append to the respective day of the week and the category. And I do this for all the categories and for all the days of the week, and then I have the data frame at the end. And then I can, like I explained, I can change the caching to change the frequency of how random, how much variation there's gonna be on each week for each of the foods. And then later on I'm gonna look for the price. So yeah, now that I'm done with all this stuff, I think every time before I stream now I'm gonna spend at least 10 minutes or something like that running that text-to-speech in Italian until I memorize or I remember the first words, and then depending on how long it takes to run that all the 1,000 words, well, it's actually gonna take 2,000 seconds, which is the 2,000 divided by 60. Yeah, 33 minutes is too much. I'm probably gonna, let's see, which one is 2 seconds, 10 minutes, 60, very true. Yeah, so I'm gonna listen to the 300 first words of that list. So once I'm used to those first 300, I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna probably work on that script again so I can change the when it starts reading the CSV, so I get the next 300 words. And I'm gonna do that until I'm familiar with all of the words from that list. And then after I do that each stream, then I'm gonna work on the chain data stuff again. I'll go back to that, and I'm gonna begin by following the tutorial from this guy here translating these codes, which is pretty similar with what I want to do. What I'm going to try to do is use Rust to get data from Web3, from Solana, and from Ethereum, and analyze the data. And then I'm going to try to merge Solana and Ethereum and go back to working on the website as well, the futures and the search mechanism and all of that. And then I'm going to think about, I'm not sure yet, but I think I'm gonna maybe switch the backend that I'm using. I'm not gonna use Python and look for another solution. And once it comes to that point, I think I'm gonna do a lot of research to see if there are other options available depending on hosting. I think I'm gonna try to find a cheaper hosting possible with the database type of database that I wanna use, and then I'm gonna choose the backend depending on that, and I might switch from Django, or I might just keep working on extracting and analyzing the data, and don't worry about that for now. So see you next time.